And the speed of change, I'll steal an analogy from a later speaker, if you'll allow me. That's Jerry Jacob from General Motors. And he uses the analogy of an incline. And we're on an incline. And this incline, the steepness of this incline, has been affected by globalization. It has been affected by digital transformation. It's been affected by matrix management, etc. And of course, COVID has accelerated that. And in order to stay still, you have to up this incline at a faster rate. And we believe collaborative learning is an incredible antidote. And the power of mutual support structures are incredible. And we in the ICBE, we believe deeply that we have the capability, the capacity, and the commitment to help you on that journey.
Even to convince people that the world of community is your friend and not something to be frightened by. Don't underestimate the internal challenges that actually occur within companies to actually convince very senior leaders that that is a reality.
We can real time understand the sentiment of the customer's message that they're posting. Is it a neutral kind of position on this topic? Are they very positive? Are they very neutral? Based off of that, you can make the decisions on how you want to engage proactively, or how you want to manage those situations based off the sentiment. It also gives you real-time insights into how customers are feeling about the overall experience. So we analyze, to 60 million plus. We analyze about 16 million parts of that data that we deem as being relevant to what we're looking for. And we act on about 11 million engagements on that data then as well. And really what we do today is within that listening, we take all of this data, it's unstructured data, we bring it in, we process it. We use things like natural language processing. We look for key themes and insights. Then we take the output of that analysis, and we look at, how do we build predictive modeling and understanding what are the types of questions customers are positioning, what are the type of comments, what are the products they're speaking about, the types of experience they have. The sentiment, as I mentioned, is it positive? Is it neutral? Is it negative? And then how do we classify the data? And then how do we kind of break that data out so that we understand which pieces we should be most interested in and how do we want to act on it?
The cultural challenges that come about when you start to look at an unfiltered view of how customers view your performance. So we went from a very narrow survey-based assessment of our performance in terms of quality, be that through the traditional surveys or NPS or NSS, historical, to sort of opening the kimono that said every single mention of Dell is a reflection of our brand out there with our customers. Question is, what do we do with that?
Again, in the previous session, there was quite a lot of discussion at one point about what we can learn from different sectors of industry. And this is something that within Formula One, we believe very strongly about. I find it interesting how many people will say to me, Formula One's a highly innovative industry. Actually, if you look at the really great innovations within Formula One, most of them have been imported from another sector. We have literally taken the blinkers off and gone into other industries and looked for inspiration and sometimes motivation, and most definitely the technologies which we can then bring in and reassemble and integrate into the way that we need to operate within our industry. And that leads to the step changes that we're looking for. Because as we have embraced this data-driven approach to creating the products which we have to bring to market, in developing a data-driven approach to engineering world-class technology solutions for Formula One, we have learned how to then apply that into wider industry. So what you see here, the detail of what goes into enable us to create world-class Formula One products is absolutely transferable in terms of skills into other sectors. And that means that we have been able to diversify over the last 20 years in a way that's been unprecedented. And there's a really important takeaway here, which is that this digital transformation journey has therefore not only enabled us to generate powerful outcomes within Formula One, but to then transfer that capability into developing powerful outcomes for our customers in a wide range of industries.
Today, we've been on that journey, right, of transformation since 2012. As I said, we have 7.5 going on 8,000 GMIT employees right now. Those employees are on average working about 90% on innovation and 10% on operations. If you go back to 2012, that was very, very difficult to manage, and the best estimate we had was it was the reverse, right? That basically about 10% was on innovation and 90% was really keeping the lights on, because it was a very complex set of contracts, very difficult to get innovation done at any type of speed. Today, we do that with 90% of our employees working on innovation and really rapidly looking to deploy more and more technology using the latest state-of-the-art technologies in both communication, collaboration, and software development techniques. Innovation is our North Star. This is the GMC Hummer with what's called the crab walk, so it can actually drive sideways. But you know, we have a lot of technical expertise, obviously, in engineering and vehicle manufacturing, etc. Those cars are also very, very complex, with over 150 enterprise or electronic control units in them, with about 150 million lines of code. You know, a passenger Airjet today has about 15 million lines of code. A jet fighter has 25 million. So, you know, we're 10 times that regarding a passenger Airjet, and within the next few years, we think that's actually going to go up to 300 million. So these are very complex devices as well, right? So, because with the rate of change and with the scale that we have, when things do move, they move and they move fast, and you need to scale fast. You can't do that with, you know, people, you know, without automation. You have to have automation. So building that type of software engineering skill set alongside their key system administration and knowledge of tools, etc., is critical for us. And it's working well. I mean, it's now I don't get the questions about are we finished yet in the org change. It's almost like there's suggestions now coming to say we maybe need to think about how do we bring these couple of areas together, or you know, and people are thinking more ahead of what could happen.
Very happy to be with you, and thanks for welcoming me to open this day. What I'll try to do is actually give you a few guidance and reference points with regard how to demystify digital and how to be, let's say, comfortable and proactive in embracing that change and what it can bring to your companies, to your teams, and to your businesses. That means that, as Edmond said, it is not about reducing the workforce. It is about shifting the workforce. And a lot of the challenge is going to be, how do you upskill your teams or reskill your teams with those kind of capabilities that you need to accelerate your business? How the broader social question, how the states, the system, educational systems, or the collection of companies do you need to get together to improve and accelerate that reskilling mentality? And probably more core of it, reduce the fear of change, because in the years to come, in the decade to come, change will increasing even more. Some contractors, some freelancers, in particular, what we see a lot is hybrid workforce coming from startup, working 3 days with your company, 2 days with their startup. Robots, which will be part of the equation, and ecosystem partners with company outside your remit that you will have to work with. So the whole relationship between employees and employees will have to change. It will be man and machine. It will be permanent and flexible. It will be internal and external. So that means that the redefinition of what the teams, the people equation should be about will be shifting.
I think a lot of people will share my view. The statistics you had on the relative success of transformation and the relative success of digital transformation, I just made a note of them as you went through. 16% achieve total achievement of the original aim, 19% fail, and 65% get some of the way there in a normal transformation. Only 4% are successful in the digital transformation. Briefly, Laurent Pierre, can you remind us of why?
Well, first, because this is a journey. So that 4% is growing. You learn from your mistakes, and that's super important. It is not because you failed at engaging your first customer in a digital way that you should not learn from it, reload, do another release of your customer engagement, for instance. And the whole principle of the waves and the stepping stone is exactly that. Play a set of actions, see if it works, learn from it, reconfigure, restart to the next one. There is a learning effect there. And there is also the fact that we all need to be agile and maneuverable given the technology acceleration and given new components into our ecosystem. So the 4% is not a fate. The 4% is an evolving metric, which is going to be hopefully going at least at the 16%, but potentially bigger, because each and every company needs to be learning from that. And it's about mastering the different dimensions of what you've seen on the radar that I showed, which is linked to why is it difficult. It is difficult because you need to connect all sides of the company into your transformation. You need to think about an evolution of how to serve your customer, but you need to align your IT technology stack. You need to define at the same time what you do with your data analytics. So everything we've been reading in the Harvard Business Review for the last 30 years, now it is live and an absolute requirement. All of the fact that companies should be working cross functions, not in silo addition. Project mode with cross-functional teams, with teams that are going to look end-to-end from a given project until deployment, learn from it. All of that now is a must-have. So this is why it is hard, because the traditional way of functioning or organizing is not necessarily reflective of these requirements. But there is learning, again. It is hard as well to finish on that, because you need to keep pace with what is moving outside your company. So if you are too much inward focused, you do not see the weak signal that could be coming up from a startup being a potential competitor of yours popping up in a garage somewhere. So you need to be, at the same time as you're working in the core company, you need to be positioning the sensors to capture and interpret the weak signals coming from startups, coming from VCs, coming from technology, to look at them regularly, not every day, but every quarter, and say, interesting. Is that a risk or an opportunity? What do I do? Something, nothing? Or do I embrace, or do I partner with someone?
Adding to what Richard said, I'll give you a specific Dell case, but most of our customers use this. So you map your internal processes and your external feedback into a seamless loop. And that's where it becomes very, very interesting, right? And in case of Dell, I remember there was a fan issue for that particular launch of a new product. We had mapped on previous number of times we had fan issue linked to the processor and mapped it the system. The moment it touched the particular threshold, which is like 5 or 6 mentions in the first week, it triggers automatically and says to all the relevant stakeholders, hey, this is a possibility of what could be a viral issue. So with 5 issues, as less as 5 issues, statistically, you're starting and saying that, hey, can I pull this product and check, is there something really wrong? So if you don't do that proactive approach of linking back to your original processes, that will still remain as data points and it won't become information and action. So the Dell bias for action is what makes it more and more successful. So we are seeing organizations who are biased for these actions and they go and take action, pull in the product, check and ensure that they have saved millions of dollars. And there are many organizations who we caught it there, but we really missed it. Maybe next time we should do it better.
Honestly, I can tell a ton about your culture by looking at the email that you send when something goes wrong. It tells me almost everything I need to know. So is the first thing you say, who did it? Tells me something. Is it, how does this not happen again? Better, not great. Is it, what are we going to learn from this? Better, right? So, I mean, a lot of these things tell a lot about your culture. Like, are people going to be scared of things? Do you have a blame culture or do you have a learning culture? If you have a blame culture, it's really hard to innovate because teams are going to be they're going to be protective, especially now if you're concerned about job things. So how do you have that learning culture? As my old colleague used to say, you can make unique mistakes. This doesn't mean people have a free pass to keep screwing up, but you also want to encourage people to take some risk and say, look, when something doesn't work, when something's not what I thought, that's okay, right? So if I want to actually encourage my team, I want to be unstuck here, I'm going to actually praise those who learn and improve.
And if you kind of get to the end, it's just that the headset of innovation should be incremental improvements. If you have a culture where little things are encouraged and rewarded, they'll lead to big things. And it's really a culture, it's not a department. And I've always said, if you're in a company and you have somebody that's the head of innovation, you've created a bottleneck there. You want every employee in the organization innovating. And if you just simplify the message down, it's just find a better way every day, no matter how big or how small.